folks, Weatherman Sam, man in the big green hat. I'm here at Bledsoe Historical Park in northern Tennessee, just a few miles from Bledsoe Creek State Park. A lot of interesting history in this area and whatnot, and this is the site of an old fort that was founded by Isaac Bledsoe. It's also got lots of interesting little features along the trail. There's a pioneer cemetery, there's the Cavern of the Skulls, which is a cave that reportedly the Native Americans kept trophy skulls inside. Now, I don't think we'll be able to go in, but it'll be interesting to see. Part of the trail also will traverse along Avery's Trace, a very important route in northern Tennessee at that time. So let's go see what we can find. This old stone structure has quite a history. This is called the Rogan. It was Hugh Rogan's stone cottage. It dates to the late 1700s. This man was originally born in Ireland and came to America and took part in some of the battles and whatnot, and Coldwater expedition, in the Indian Wars, and moved back to Ireland, and then moved back to this area with his wife and built this on Bledsoe Creek. It was the mass station for Catholics for more than 50 years. And this isn't its original location. It was originally located on Bledsoe Creek, but it was moved here in 1998. And of course the roof would not be original to it, but the stones themselves would have been hewed in the 1700s. So this is awesome. It's quite a sight to see. I love old historical buildings and things like this. There's just a little monument there commemorating Hugh Rogan, and tell a little bit more about the history and what he did for the local people. The trail itself here now, just kind of on the edge of this open field, but soon we'll get up into the street line. We'll walk up the platform here to the edge of Bledsoe's fort. This is an archaeological project. The far corner over there was the blockhouse, and what they've done is, through excavating, they've been able to find the original edges of the buildings that existed here, which is pretty cool. I even think one of these buildings over here may have been a Dodge truck style cabin, and each corner, actually I pointed that out as a blockhouse, but each corner would have been a blockhouse. They found remnants of ceramics and all kinds of stuff. This fort existed from 1783 to 1806. We're going to take a stroll through this. There's really nothing of historical significance to damage here just by walking through this, so I don't see the harm. So this would have been your blockhouse, and inside of the huge stockade itself were 10 individual cabins. If you can imagine, this is almost maybe 12 feet in length and width, completely square. This is your entire living quarters. It's a pretty large open area here. Interesting to note that some of the cabins were kind of standalone by themselves, and then some were joined right up against one another. And then that long angling set of timbers you see here toward the back was the far fence offset from the fort. And the blockhouse down the far corner, this would have been a gate that led downhill to the spring where they gathered water. Now we're off into the woods here. You see an old stone wall, it's pretty cool. It's been built. Old property marker. Trail quickly splits here. We're taking the way to the left that leads to the Cavern of the Skulls and the old spring house. Cross like a very dry branch here too. It's worth noting. That's a short walk. And the marker has been torn down now, but this is the Cavern of the Skulls. It's obviously blocked off. Can't get into it. Low overhang. Lots of pretty little ferns growing in it and whatnot. I have to say the trail past here become more than a little bit overgrown. If you come in the summertime like I have, it's just something to be aware of. Honestly, we're really not sure where to go from this point. Forget trying to find the spring house. You're just going to get yourself lost here. There's no discernible path really past the cave very well. This will give you some idea. I'm fairly experienced off trail and trail tracking. I tried to go back the way I came, and I've ended up on the bottom side of the cave. Not even where I started, because I went that way and I ended up coming back this way. Well, at least I found the cave. My other map may be a little screwy. I'm back on the main trail, and just up here, here's another spur off. We're going to see if this leads to the spring house, maybe, and the Long Hunter camp. Well, that was correct. There's a little dry cascade ambled along down through here, and some nice stone steps. And right here up ahead, this is the spring house. Cool. The spring was even used up until the early 1900s, according to the marker. I always love looking at how these things were constructed. I don't know if you can see in the video that it's still flowing quite well. Beautiful little spot. There it is, going on downstream. Some beautiful old trees through here. Past the spring now. Following the little trail along down to what will be the Long Hunter camp. Now little damselflies enjoying the waters. Oh, there's just tons of them. Here just to the right is the Long Hunter camp. This is a recreation of the camp itself, though. This is not original, but it is the style of what would have been used in that era. Almost kind of a central breezeway and lean-to shelters. It's a central fire ring that's kind of overgrown. Kind of a spacious lean-to. There's plenty of room. Whatever you need. Back on the main path now. Past a few little nature signs pointing out different trees and whatnot. But this just seems to be a little road that's settled just below the old stone wall there in the fields. And here's a little sign that talks about the Long Hunters camp. It's pretty interesting. It mentions it as a almost half-face camp. It's a 3-sided open front log structure. That's kind of the original design of what one would look like. Video is more of a note to myself than anything else. Right before that last sign, a little trail, well-groomed trail, spurs off and like straight downhill. And the only thing I can figure is that maybe it leads back to the Long Hunter camp, and there was some kind of loop I could have done. But it's not depicted on the map anywhere. Now we've come up on the Pioneer Cemetery. (1850 to 1885). (1824 to 1866). Walk around and see what marker here that's been surrounded. This is Lucy Cornwell. Died 1855. Some memorial marker to Bledsoe. He was a captain in the colonial army. That's something I didn't read earlier. Downhill back close to the road. Lots of vinca periwinkle covering the grounds here. Just a few little, look at the white leaf cups in bloom. About the only thing that I've found in bloom so far. And I've entered into an area of really tall eastern red cedars. Oh, now it's completely covered in white leaf cup. There's a certain smell to the air these things give off too. It's kind of hard to describe. This is Nathaniel Parker's cabin. It dates to 1790, and it's one of the oldest log cabins in Sumner County here in Tennessee. It was donated also in the 90s. Can't go into it, but here's a brief glimpse of what's inside. Thanks for coming along on this little adventure, folks. We enjoyed seeing the spring house and the cool old Pioneer Cemetery, whatnot. Until next time, keep exploring and stay wild.